Do you want to know how to save thousands of dollars on your home loan? Stay tuned because we're going to tell you exactly what your FICO score is and how you can save a ton of money. That's coming up next.
We're Glen and Kelly Nelson with Realty One Group West. Today we asked a trusted mortgage advisor to tell us all about credit scores and how you can save thousands of dollars. Subscribe to our channel for weekly content on how to save lots of money and time when buying or selling a home. Just click the red subscribe button and hit the bell button to be notified of new videos.
We recently sat down with Keith Murphy, a 25-year seasoned mortgage advisor with Essex Mortgage, to get an insider's view of all things home loan related. This video is the first in a series relating to credit scores and how you can save money on your home loan. Hi, I'm Kelly Nelson with Nelson Real Estate Group. I'm here today with Keith Murphy from Essex Mortgage, and Keith and I are going to tell you a little bit of information today about credit scores. So we've got some questions here, Keith, that I think are probably the most pertinent to a lot of buyers, and particularly, if you're a first-time buyer, you probably have a lot more questions about that. The best description I can think of is I heard it described once as your credit score is your adult report card. So I think you probably thought after you finished high school you were done getting report cards or college, but no, there's one that's going to follow you for the rest of your days, and that is going to be called your credit report, your FICO score. So Keith, maybe first of all you can tell us what is the makeup of the credit score?
Sure. So let's start there. The credit score is this mysterious thing, but really what it is an algorithm. Mm-hmm. And the credit bureaus, the FICO system, has many different moving parts, but I would say the core drivers of what delivers a high score versus a low score is repayment. So that's probably number one, making your payments on time. If you want a high credit score, make your payments on time. If you want a lower credit score, 30-day lates, 60-day lates, 90-day lates, defaults and collections, that's going to bring your score way, way down. Mm-hmm. The other one that drives the score is credit capacity. So what I'm talking about now is revolving debt, not installment debt like a car loan, a student loan, a mortgage. It's a fixed term. You've agreed to pay back a certain amount of money over a certain period of time. That's installment debt. Mm-hmm. Revolving is your credit card. So the total combined revolving debt that you have is the credit limit, and the balances that you carry is your balance. The spread between the two is your credit balance to credit limit capacity. And that ratio, ideally, if you want to keep your credit score high, you've got to keep it at 30% or below. Okay. And the lower you go, the more that will juice up your score. Okay. Every increment above 30%, your FICO score will go down and down. So even if you've made all of your payments on time for your entire life, but you've got your credit card balances too high, you can end up with a low FICO score. And it can be very inefficient and ineffective way of grading someone, as you said. I really like that report card analogy, because maybe somebody's been very responsible and they don't have credit card. They don't have department stores, they don't have a Visa, MasterCard. Maybe they have one Home Depot card for a $100 limit and it's got a $90 balance on it, just the one, and no other revolving debt. Well, they're at a 90% capacity utilization rate, and that alone is going to bring down their credit score. So just to recap right here, make your payments on time, keep your credit card balances low. If you don't have credit cards, you need to have them, and ideally, the ideal is use them each month, pay them off each month. I advise clients get one department store card
Okay.
Whenever you need to buy a pair of shoes or clothing, buy it using your credit card, then pay it to zero. And then maybe get a Visa card and MasterCard, one of each. Use one for meals, for food. When you go to the grocery store, when you go out to eat, put it on that credit card at the end of every month. You've got a nice way of keeping track of how much you spent on meals, and then pay it to zero. And the other one, use for your car, to put gas in it, for maintenance, etc. And then same thing. Don't carry a balance to the next month. If you make your payments on time and use that strategy, your FICO will be in the upper echelons.
Right.
Let's talk about that for a second. Anything above in the mortgage world, 740 and higher, is going to get you the best interest rate. So
Okay,
if you utilize that little strategy right there, you'll be in that ballpark. I'd say the third most important factor is not to take on too much credit or run up your balances too quickly.
Okay.
The flip side of that is if you're preparing to buy a home and you think, hey, before I go meet with the bank, I'm going to pay my credit cards down and close them so that they'll feel more comfortable lending me money. That can backfire too, because your credit utilization algorithm factor is now gone. So
Okay,
keep your credit cards open.
Don't close anything.
Ever. I like to think of it as a tree. Okay, a tree starts as a seedling. It germinates, it sprouts, and then over time, slowly it grows and grows, and the nourishment comes from the roots that go down into the ground and the sun, right? Well, think of those credit cards as nourishment to the algorithm.
Okay.
If you start whacking off the roots, the tree doesn't get any nourishment.
Right. It's not going to
In
thrive.
this case, the algorithm doesn't get any nourishment and it doesn't thrive. And by default, even though you really did nothing wrong in your financial life, your credit score has gone down.
Not to take away from any of what your recommendations, but I will just say shop around for your credit, because I know there's a lot of things like special offers that your bank may have for you, and I know, like, for me, Discover Card is often offering 5% off on my gas purchases, or 5% off on restaurants, or something like that. So maybe you can plan to strategically use those credit cards in your life, as well as just to build the credit. Then another question I had for you with regard to the amount of credit that you have, is there also any sense to, say, making your payments earlier than they need to be made? Like, let's say you have a due date of the 4th of the month. I know when I worked in banking, we always transmitted and made all of our communication to the credit bureaus on the 30th or the last day of the month. So is there any benefit to maybe paying your payments early? Maybe you save some interest, certainly, but also does it impact your score?
It's a great question, and it doesn't impact your score as far as the algorithm is concerned, but if you're not on automatic payments, which you should be, just so that the minimums are covered in case you forget to send in the remaining balance that month, and if you're sending in payments by the mail, definitely send them in early, because we have to remember that it takes time to get through the U.S. mail system, and then they receive this manual payment, and it may go into their intake department, and they may not process it for 2 or 3 days, and that may go past your due date, and now you have a late payment. So if you're making payments manually, definitely send them in early. If you're not on automatic payments, set yourself up on automatic payments as an insurance policy. But to answer your question, sending in your payment early, although it's a good practice, isn't going to get you any extra credit points on your credit report, because they just want to make sure you're making your payments on time.
Okay. All right. Conversely, with your mortgage payment, of course, if you send that in a little bit early, over time, you're going to be paying down that principal a little bit faster, and that is going to save you money over the long haul.
Yes.
For more great tips, resources, and letters dealing with credit issues to boost your credit scores and save thousands of dollars on your home loan, be sure to get Keith's First Aid for Sick Credit. Just click the link in the description box.
Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and get all the other videos in this series, which will help you save lots of money on your home. We'll see you next time.